statement of the Bible is true, but not everything covered by the sacred robe is necessarily sacred, and not everyone who wears the sacred robe is necessarily an abbot in charge. The Bible has a problem, and that is that the God promoted in it is not the real greatest creator. We already know that the greatest creator has 8 main features: uniqueness and exclusivity, formlessness, neutrality, mystery, impartiality, mercy, supreme power, and intelligence. Intelligence is mainly manifested in the establishment of the universe order, the design of the life program, and the knowledge of the past and the future. So, does the God in the Bible possess these 8 features? Let's take a few examples to illustrate. Adam and Eve's betrayal. In the book of Genesis, it is said that Adam and Eve, under the temptation of the serpent, ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which God had forbidden them to eat, and as a result, they disobeyed God's will and were expelled from the Garden of Eden. This event shows that the God in the Bible is A. Powerless, B. Lacks foresight, C. Unjust. His powerlessness is evident in that he was a failure from the beginning. The first couple he created betrayed him. How can we believe in a God who often fails? The flood killed most of humanity, and what about the future humanity? They still don't listen to him. Moses' 10 Commandments were God's instructions in the Bible, but how many have humans obeyed? Not a single one has been sincerely followed. It seems that God in the Bible is helpless when it comes to humans. The only way is to threaten and threaten again. If you don't do this or that, you will be punished. It has been thousands of years, from the beginning to now, and humanity is still the same. Is there really no other way? Is there other force constraining this almighty God? If so, is God not the only one? Humanity has been going against you for thousands of years. What are you waiting for? The lack of foresight in the God of the Bible is shown in his ignorance of Adam and Eve's betrayal, and his lack of knowledge about the future development trend of the things he created. Can we rely on a God who cannot predict the past and the future? If the Earth were to fly out of the solar system and you didn't know, how could you save humanity? If you can't even manage humans, how can you manage gods and demons? How can you manage the vast universe? The unfairness of God in the Bible is manifested in his failure to distinguish right from wrong and a lack of reasoning. There are 3 reasons why Adam and Eve betrayed him. Firstly, the genetic structure of Adam and Eve, which he created, was flawed or imperfect. The things he created turned against him, causing him to become angry and frustrated. This is like an architect working hard to build a house, but the house collapses just as the project is completed and falls on his feet. Should he blame the house or blame himself? The second reason for the betrayal is the temptation and instigation of the snake. Adam and Eve were human beings, and the power behind the snake was Satan, the devil. Human energy and wisdom are unable to contend with evil, and yet God did not punish the devil, the culprit, but instead vented his anger on Adam and Eve, banishing them from the Garden of Eden. Is this fair? If a rapist rapes an 8-year-old girl, and instead of punishing the rapist, he blames the girl for having a weak resistance and for having developed a vagina, is this fair? The third and most important reason for the betrayal is the damned tree of knowledge of good and evil. Who planted it in the Garden of Eden? Why did they plant it? It's like putting poisonous candy on a child's dinner table. Is this not intentionally creating a situation where there is no silver in this place? On the one hand, constantly showing pornographic videos to young girls, and on the other hand, pretending to demand that they remain chaste. Is this the behavior of a moral person? Is it not the cunning and wicked person who planted the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden that led to Adam and Eve's betrayal? Furthermore, for a person who can create the universe, is banishing Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden the only solution? Is there no other way? Is it fair to not even give a chance to correct a mistake made once? Is it fair to be guilty for a lifetime for one mistake? Jesus came to the world mainly to redeem sinners. According to the logic of the Bible, people have original sin, which comes from the ancestors of humanity, Adam and Eve, and their sin was caused by eating the fruit from the cursed tree of knowledge of good and evil. From the moment we were born, we have been burdened with the original sin inherited from Adam and Eve. This cross is too heavy to bear. The logical conclusion of this reasoning is, the son of a thief is always a thief. The son of a criminal is always a criminal. the children of landlords, rich peasants, counter-revolutionaries, bad elements, and rightists will always be labeled as the 5 black categories. The son of an emperor is always an emperor. No wonder in human history, especially in the feudal era, one person commits a crime and 9 generations suffer. No wonder, when one person ascends to the Tao, the whole family prospers. No wonder the emperor doesn't take turns to reign and instead lets an ignorant child inherit the throne at the age of 3. It turns out that all of these conform to the logic of the Bible. If there is guilt, firstly it is on God in the Bible and Satan. Just for Adam and Eve, over 100 billion people throughout human history have had to suffer. How can this be humane? Why not execute Adam and Eve at that time and then create humans again? Is it really that difficult for God in the Bible to create a person? Humans are born with sin, which is why every person who comes into this world has to suffer. But this sin is not inherited from our ancestors, but something that each person creates themselves in their past lives. If a person has no sin, they would become a deity or a Buddha. The 10 plagues of Egypt are recorded in the book of Exodus. When Moses and Aaron asked Pharaoh to let the Israelites leave Egypt in the name of the God in the Bible, they were refused. As a result, the God in the Bible brought 10 plagues upon the Egyptians. 1. The water of the Nile turned into blood, and the fish in the river died, causing a foul odor to arise. 2. Frogs jumped out of the Nile and spread throughout the land of Egypt, causing a foul odor. 3. The dust of the land of Egypt turned into lice, crawling on the bodies of people and animals. 4. Swarms of flies plagued Egypt. 5. A plague killed almost all of Egypt's livestock. 6. Boils appeared on the bodies of the Egyptians. 7. A rare hailstorm occurred. 8. Locusts ate up all the green plants that were left after the hail. 9. Darkness covered Egypt for 3 days. 10. The firstborn of both people and livestock were killed. If we say that God punished Egypt because Pharaoh did not obey God's will, it can be understood. But killing the firstborn of both people and animals in Egypt is a bit too much, unreasonable. If the Egyptian emperor does not listen to you, you can punish him, but why bring disaster to ordinary people? Even worse, even the children of the slave girls who are at the bottom of society, like donkeys pushing mills, are not spared and must be killed. Does such a God have mercy? This is simply the behavior of a devil that destroys humanity. What is even more hateful is that the main reason why Pharaoh did not allow the Israelites to leave Egypt is that the God in the Bible made Pharaoh's heart hardened. Before the 10 plagues occurred, the God in the Bible had already made preparations. Exodus 7 verse 3 records, "But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and though I multiply my signs and wonders in Egypt." This means that the God in the Bible had set a trap for the Egyptians but was finding ways to punish them. Exodus 8 verse 19 says, "But when Pharaoh saw that there was a respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said." Exodus 9 verse 35 says, "And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Israel go, as the Lord had spoken by Moses." Exodus 10 verse 20 says, "But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go." Exodus 10 verse 27 says, "But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go." Exodus 11 verse 10 says, "And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land." It was the God in the Bible who allowed the Israelites to leave Egypt, but also the same God who made Pharaoh's heart hardened and caused many problems, not allowing the Israelites to leave Egypt easily. What is the God in the Bible doing? On the one hand, he encourages the people to rebel, while on the other hand, he informs the government authorities and encourages them to brutally suppress the rebellion. Isn't this person a schemer and a two-faced person? Is this what God looks like? The Israelites are God's chosen people. The Bible is divided into 2 parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament refers to events before the birth of Jesus, and the New Testament refers to events after his birth. The term testament refers to a covenant, contract, or agreement. The entire Bible mainly deals with the covenant, contract, and agreement between God and the Israelites. This raises a paradox. There are probably more than 3,000 ethnic groups in the world. Why did God make a covenant only with the Israelites? Aren't other ethnic groups also God's people? If so, God cannot make a covenant only with the Israelites and ignore other ethnic groups. If not, where did other ethnic groups come from? Did Adam and Eve not serve as the ancestors of all humanity, only the ancestors of the Israelites? Were people of other ethnic groups created by the devil? From the creation to the Great Flood is 1,656 years. From the Great Flood to the Exodus from Egypt is a total of 857 years. From the Exodus to the establishment of the Israelite nation is 396 years. From the establishment to the Babylonian exile is 510 years. From the Babylonian exile to the rebuilding of Jerusalem is 152 years. From the rebuilding of Jerusalem to the birth of Jesus is approximately 450 years. From the birth of Jesus to today is a total of 2,003 years. According to the calculations in the Bible, human history is approximately 6,376 years. According to the Bible, only 8 people, Noah, his wife, and his 3 sons and their wives, survived the Great Flood, which occurred about 4,700 years ago. That means there were no other people on Earth besides Noah's family. This raises a series of questions. First, where did Native Americans come from? According to the theory of continental drift, the separation of the American continent from other continents could not have occurred within the past 4,700 years. How did Noah's descendants travel from the Middle East to America? Moreover, after the Great Flood, Noah's family consisted of only 8 people, and it is impossible that they immediately dispersed. Noah could not have sent one of his sons and his daughter-in-law to cross the freezing Siberia and take the risk of crossing the Bering Strait to America. The second question is about where the black people in Africa came from. From a genetic perspective, black, yellow, and white people all have their own ancestors. A pair of purebred white people cannot produce a black or yellow person, even with evolution. Even if we talk about evolution, the Israelites could not have evolved into black or yellow people within 4,700 years. Moreover, according to Darwin's theory of evolution, it is the survival of the fittest. Could the Israelites who wrote the Bible have evolved into African Americans? No matter how we comfort our black brothers, they are not superior to the Israelites in terms of intelligence. As for the Chinese nation, the appearance of the emperor was about 4,600 years ago, and the story of Dayu controlling floods was about 4,200 years ago. From a time span perspective, the descendants of Noah could not have come to the Central Plains just over 100 years after the Great Flood. Even if they could have come to the Central Plains, could they have reproduced so many people in 400 years to follow Dayu to control the floods? Where did the Chinese nation come from? Can Dayu's flood control be understood as controlling the Great Flood of that time? From the perspective of the Bible, the theory of biological evolution cannot be recognized, because once the theory of biological evolution is recognized, the theory of God creating humanity is undoubtedly denied. But if we deny the theory of biological evolution, we cannot explain the origins of black and yellow people, and we cannot say that Adam and Eve are the common ancestors of humanity. The story of Cain and Abel. After Adam and Eve were banished from the Garden of Eden, their first child was Cain, and their second child was Abel. One day, Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought the firstborn of his flock and their fat. The Lord favored Abel and his offering, but he did not favor Cain and his offering. As a result, out of jealousy, Cain killed his own brother, Abel. We want to ask God in the Bible, why did you only accept Abel's offering but not Cain's? Isn't Cain's jealousy and the subsequent murder of his brother Abel a trouble of your own making? If you didn't show partiality, how could you provoke Cain's jealousy? Why is it that the people you created caused so much trouble? Adam and Eve disobeyed you, and their sons ended up killing each other. Can't you, as God, solve these problems? Or is this your deliberate plan? Cain was a murderer and should have been punished severely, but you said, anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. This is a non-standard morality. If you don't punish the criminal, that's one thing. But if someone else punishes the criminal, they should receive 7 times the punishment? Isn't this protecting the criminal? No wonder human history has been filled with bloodshed and crime for thousands of years. It turns out that God in the Bible is protecting criminals. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Cain is a criminal, so we can fully understand it as anyone who kills a criminal will suffer vengeance 7 times over. From this, it seems that it is better to be a criminal, as at least someone will protect you. If you're a good person, not only will no one protect you, but you'll also suffer 7 times the punishment. Then there are the prophets and dreams in the Bible. The prophets are representatives of God on earth with incomprehensible wisdom and ability. This makes us ordinary people unable to distinguish between truth and lies. If someone says, "I am a prophet," should we believe them or not? If we don't believe them, are we not opposing God? But if we believe them, could they not be using the name of the prophet to deceive us? Speaking of dreams, there are a lot of dreams and interpretations of dreams in the Bible, especially in the book of Revelation. Of course, only prophets can interpret dreams, which brings us endless confusion. First of all, did you as a prophet really have this dream? Your dreams are not visible to others, so could you be making up some dreams to deceive us? If you really had the dream, is your interpretation correct? Could you be interpreting the dream in the opposite way? We would like to ask you, the God in the Bible, you often directly communicated with people. Why did you stop talking directly to humanity later on? Is it that the Adam and Eve on other planets also rebelled against your guidance? Why did you have to warn humanity in the form of dreams? Why not make the truth clear and straightforward? Don't you have the ability to do so? Do you not have the time? Do you have something to hide? We can give many examples to show that the God in the Bible does not possess the attributes of being uniqueness and exclusivity, amorphousness, neutrality, mystery, impartiality, mercy, supreme power, and intelligence. It can be said with certainty, the God in the Bible is not the real God. 翻译上帝的话语 Interpretation of the words of the greatest creator. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Tsong Long and Ailian. The greatest creator never directly speaks to humanity. The greatest creator's words are implicit in the laws of nature. To put it simply, the greatest creator's words are the Tao. Specifically, the greatest creator's words are the formulas of physics, the molecular formulas of chemistry, the equations of mathematics, the structural formulas of biology, and the causal formulas of life science. Therefore, those great physicists, chemists, mathematicians, outstanding doctors, and other professionals are the ones who can truly translate the greatest creator's words. Works such as the Tao Te Ching, the Yellow Emperor's Inner Classic, and the Treatise on Response and Retribution of the Supreme Clarity can be seen as translations of the greatest creator's words in social life science. In human society, those who have succeeded in various fields are those who have inadvertently followed the greatest creator's words, because they have followed the laws of the movement and development of things in their time and place. The laws are the greatest creator's words. Those who fail are those who go against the laws. People who are spiritually or materially rich are those who consciously and voluntarily follow the rules, that is, those who understand the greatest creator's words. People who are spiritually or materially poor are those who ignore the existence of the greatest creator and misinterpret the greatest creator's words. Anyone who can humbly accept education is someone who understands the greatest creator's words. Those who are stubborn, rigid, restless, inflexible, and cannot calmly contemplate are the ones who go against the greatest creator's words and are unreasonable, irredeemable, and destined to suffer. Translating the greatest creator's words requires wisdom, contemplation, and insight, a calm and peaceful mindset, a complete spiritual and divine state, and an attitude of reverence for the greatest creator, respect for deities and Buddha, love for nature, love for life, and love for humanity. I will attempt to translate some of the greatest creator's words and kindly ask for corrections from the hidden talents and potential and high-level practitioners in the world. I am the greatest creator, the supreme ruler of the universe, the commander of all the gods, the cradle of life, the birthplace of wisdom, the driving force of the universe, the energy center of the supernatural world, the oasis in the desert, and the lighthouse in the fog. I am omnipotent, omnipresent, perfect, and flawless, and I can see through everything. I have prepared the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world for those who respect me. These are infinitely beautiful worlds where you will no longer have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, and transportation, nor will you be anxious about aging, sickness, and death, or concerned about the impermanence and disasters. You can enjoy and play to your heart's content. Therefore, you should follow my path. I have also prepared the lower realms of life, the nether world, the frozen layer, and the inflamed layer. For those who ignore my existence, insult me, blaspheme me, and betray me. You will suffer torment and eat the bitter fruit you have sown. Therefore, you should repent and ask for my forgiveness. Your life is short. Don't waste precious time on useless things. You should prioritize seeking me. If you seek me, I will appear. If you knock on my door, I will open it for you. Everything you see is fleeting and illusory. The real things are hidden behind what you see. You must learn to seek them out. Everything you have in the world will not bring you true happiness and joy. The more you have, the more you will suffer. You should pursue wisdom. Only wisdom can make you happy and blissful, and only with wisdom can I let you enter the higher level of life space. Don't make life too complicated. You should pursue a simple, ordinary, and rich life because I prefer people who have wisdom and are ordinary and plain, not just those who have power, status, and fame. Don't limit your thinking to three-dimensional space. Otherwise, you will not see other spaces. Don't deny the existence of other spaces just because you cannot see them, just like denying the existence of particles because you cannot see them. You should stay away from evil deeds. Those who steal, rob, deceive, extort, rape, kill, are greedy, and corrupt will never have a bright future. Don't have jealousy, slander, arrogance, conceit, resentment, or cunning in your heart. These things are like viral bacteria that will erode your spirituality. Do not compare yourselves to others. Be your own person, walk your own path, and do not chase after trends or fads. Do not lose your way. Humbly learn from those who are wise, listen to the teachings of the knowledgeable, and have the courage to acknowledge your own ignorance. You were born into this world to be human, so do not pursue extraordinary abilities or strive to become gods or Buddhas. Walk the path of being a good human being, and the quality of your next life will be determined by the merits you accumulate in this one. I dislike those who behave weirdly or act peculiarly. Earth is the home of humanity. Love every mountain, tree, blade of grass, every particle of earth and drop of water. Whoever destroys their home will have no home left, but those who cherish it will go to a beautiful home. How you treat me, I will treat you in the same way. I have not created many contradictory religions in the world. I have only created laws and regulations for the universe and life. Religions are created by humans yourselves. Do not build temples or churches for me, for the entire universe is where I am. Do not sacrifice animals to me, for I am the greatest creator and I do not eat such things. You should revere me with your heart and not deceive me with superficial forms. You cannot deceive me. I detest those who appear devout on the surface but hold contempt for me in their hearts. You should respect the elderly because you will also grow old. You should care for the young because in my eyes, you are also young. If you do not care for the young, I will not care for you. Respect your teachers and humbly accept education. Otherwise, ignorance and foolishness will obscure your mind, leaving you groping in the darkness for lifetimes. Observe laws and respect your rulers. There are universal laws governing all things in the cosmos. You cannot act recklessly without consequences. The right to exist as human beings is given to all of you by me. Protect your rights as human beings and resist those who would deprive you of them. Stand tall and upright like humans, not groveling like dogs. Help yourselves, and I will help you. Abandon yourselves, and I will forsake you. The population of humans on Earth is already too high. You must exercise self-control and not reproduce like animals. Otherwise, disasters will befall you by my will. This is a warning, so do not blame me for being cruel. Actively seek me out and follow my path. If you disregard my existence and do as you please, disasters will strike you at any time. Hold on tight to my hand, Please kindly critique and correct my interpretation if there are any mistakes. Your spirituality will grow, and your thinking will transcend that which arises from human nature and ethics. Stay and study in life genuine. A new life will begin. Take a broad view. You will see the faraway mountains fresh and green. Open the windows. The sunlight and fresh air will come in. 给东海一宵讲上帝. Preaching about the greatest creator to Donghai Xiao. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Tsong Long and Ailian. Confucianism reveres heaven regardless of whether it is referred to as heavenly realm, imperial heaven, or Lord of Heaven. The point is that it acknowledges the existence of a force beyond human power, a divine being that exists in the realm of the unknowable. This acknowledgement is not a sudden impulse, nor is it the result of the teachings of a particular master. Rather, it is a summary of the life experiences and practices of millions of people. If we randomly ask a few people over 60 years old, do you believe in the existence of a divine being beyond everything? I guarantee that at least half of them will not deny the existence of the Heavenly Lord. This heaven, heavenly realm, Emperor of Heaven, Heavenly Lord, is the greatest creator. If you observe the operation of a precision CNC machine, what do you perceive? You will find that this CNC machine is working automatically with accuracy and precision. Do you think this is an innate attribute of the machine, or do you think there is someone controlling it behind the scenes? The beehive is a regular hexagonal prism with 3 equal rhombuses at its base. The obtuse angle of the rhombus is 109 degrees 28 minutes, and the acute angle is 70 degrees 32 minutes. Why is it this angle? Because according to scientist calculations, only this angle can maximize material savings. Now I want to ask you, are bees so intelligent? Or is there a force behind them, controlling them, just like a person controlling a CNC machine? In my chapter of The Greatest Creator, I gave dozens of such examples. Faced with such facts, will you still deny the existence of the greatest creator? Everything has a source, so where does the source lie? Everything moves, so where does the initial driving force come from? Everything has a spirit, so where does this spirit come from? There is cause and effect, and everything has a cause, but where does the initial cause come from? Everything that exists has a purpose, but what is the ultimate purpose? Life has a hierarchy, so what is the highest form of life? Can you say that the highest form of life is me, Donghai Xiao? Everything has an order, so who established this order? Are you going to say, I, Donghai Xiao, established the order in the universe and everything in it? Everything is interrelated, and interrelation has an endpoint. So where is this endpoint? Are you going to say, the computers of the world are connected to the internet, and the endpoint of this connection is my computer, Donghai Xiao's computer? Do you still deny the existence of the greatest creator? Of course, you can say that everything is natural and formed naturally, but can you explain what nature means and how it naturally creates all the masterpieces and their operating programs in the world? All of this needs to be rigorously explained and revealed. You shouldn't just stubbornly say, nature is nature. I don't believe in the greatest creator. What can you do to me? Those who believe in the greatest creator have spirituality, wisdom, and insight. Those who don't believe in God are ignorant. The greatest creator is not the creator of any one family. Those who believe in the greatest creator shouldn't think that the greatest creator should help them solve all their problems. This is a misunderstanding of the greatest creator. The greatest creator is like the sun, shining impartially on everything in the world, including every person. As for who gets how much energy from the sun, it depends on each person's preferences and actions. If you're afraid of the sun and the light, that's your own problem, not the sun's. The greatest creator has 8 features: unique, amorphous, neutral, mysterious, impartial, merciful, superbly powerful, and intelligent. Why do I say that the God described in the Old Testament of the Bible is not the real greatest creator? Because the God in the Bible does not have the above 8 features. Why do I say that the Krishna promoted by the Krishna consciousness movement is not the real God? Because Krishna has 16,108 wives, while the real greatest creator is neutral, neither male nor female, and any statement and action of personifying the greatest creator are always incorrect. Why? 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 I won't say anymore. You can verify and judge for yourself. Why do some people vigorously resist the greatest creator of life, genuine's faith? Because when the truth is revealed, the false cannot hide, so they resort to slander and resistance. If they don't defame the truth, the false cannot pass. In short, I don't expect you to believe in the greatest creator overnight, but I hope you don't rush to deny it. Use your lifetime of practice to verify it. At the end of your life, if you can say, having heard Tao in the morning, one may die content in the evening, that's enough. 人体的奥妙证明上帝存在的例证. The wonders of the human body, evidence for the existence of the greatest creator. Recommended by Xuefeng. Despite the fact that current medical understanding of the human body is still quite limited, the existing knowledge alone is enough to leave us in awe of the intricacy of human anatomy and function. Each system and organ of the body is a masterpiece of creation, and even those seemingly insignificant parts have profound purposes. For example, human hair varies in type, each with different shapes and functions, and they must not be confused. Hair on the head protects the head and also serves an aesthetic purpose, which is why it can grow very long. The Bible says that long hair is a woman's glory, hence women rarely go bald. Eyebrows are there to divert sweat and rainwater away from the eyes. Thus, they are located above the eyes and curve to the sides. Eyelashes prevent dust and foreign objects from entering the eyes. Thus, they grow on the edges of the upper and lower eyelids and curve forward in a special arc, so as not to obstruct vision. When closed, the upper and lower eyelashes interlock without poking the eyeball. If eyebrows and eyelashes grew too long, they would impede vision, which is why they never grow as long as head hair or beards. Nasal hair filters the air we breathe, growing on the inner surface of the nostrils and slanting outward. If they grew inward, foreign particles would enter easily but be hard to expel. Armpit hair reduces friction and helps evaporate sweat. Without it, people would have to keep their arms raised all day to prevent skin inflammation due to friction and moisture. Armpit hair, based on its function, can't grow as long as head hair nor as short as eyebrows, and it is fine and curly. If it were coarse and straight, it would pierce the skin. The epithelial cells of the intestines also have cilia, which grow downward and move in unison with a wave-like motion from top to bottom, aiding in the downward movement of intestinal contents. The cilia on the epithelium of the trachea and bronchi, however, grow and beat in the opposite direction, upward, to push phlegm to the throat for expulsion. If they followed the usual downward growth, the trachea and bronchi would be blocked by phlegm, making it impossible for a person to survive. Let's take two simple reflex activities of the human body as examples. When foreign objects invade the nasal cavity or trachea, they trigger two protective reflexes: sneezing and coughing, both aiming to expel the foreign objects. However, because the situations are different, the reflex methods also vary significantly. A foreign object in the nasal cavity is not an emergency, so the sneezing reflex can prepare slowly. It begins with a slow inhalation, opening the mouth, lifting the soft palate to block the nasal cavity, and inhaling enough air through the mouth. Then, the chest and abdominal cavities contract sharply, forcing air out of the lungs quickly. At the climax of the exhalation, the tongue suddenly lifts to block the mouth, forcing the air to shoot out through the nasal cavity, expelling the foreign object from the nose. However, if a foreign object enters the trachea, it is an extremely urgent situation that requires immediate removal to prevent life-threatening consequences. There is no time to waste, and inhaling is not allowed, as it would push the foreign object deeper and cause suffocation. Therefore, the coughing reflex involves no inhalation. Instead, the glottis closes immediately, while the chest and abdominal cavities explosively contract, drastically increasing the pressure of the remaining air in the lungs. When the pressure reaches its peak, the glottis suddenly opens, and the air bursts out, expelling the foreign object from the trachea through the glottis to the pharynx. At this moment, the soft palate lifts to block the nasal cavity, ensuring the foreign object is expelled through the mouth. If the tongue and soft palate acted the same as during sneezing, the foreign object expelled from the trachea would enter the nasal cavity through the back of the nasal passage, causing further trouble. In both reflex activities, various body parts must coordinate strictly. Any disruption in coordination will lead to the failure of the entire reflex activity, with potentially severe consequences. Thus, these activities are not random but follow functional requirements and predetermined procedures. These procedures are innate, present in the brain's neural structures, nerve nuclei, at birth, ensuring the survival of infants. Given the highly advanced computer technology available today, it is possible for humans to artificially simulate these activities. To achieve this, three conditions must be met. Devices that simulate the inhalation, exhalation, and sensory functions of the human mouth, nose, pharynx, trachea, and chest and abdominal cavities. Central control equipment that mimics the nervous system, computers, and input-output networks. These two components constitute the so-called hardware. However, hardware alone is not sufficient. Software is also necessary. It is a strictly designed program that controls the activities and sequences of various components, ensuring seamless coordination. All three elements are indispensable, as the entire reflex activity cannot be realized without any one of them. This software program is not a physical structure but an application of intelligence, a purely mental product. Without the application of intelligence, a program cannot be created. This raises a question. If the computer program is written and pre-stored by humans, who then writes and pre-stores the control programs in the human brain? Sneezing and coughing are merely the simplest examples. In reality, the human body performs countless automatic physiological, biochemical, and pathological control activities, most of which are far more intricate and complex than external reflexes like coughing. Some of these remain beyond human understanding to this day. So, where do these sophisticated and profound control programs come from? Let's take a look at the human sensory organs. Why do people have two ears? It turns out that a single ear cannot discern the direction of sound. With two ears positioned on either side of the head, the brain can determine the direction of the sound based on the slight difference in the time it takes for the sound to reach each ear. The outermost part of the auditory organ is the auricle, which funnels sound into the external auditory canal. The auricle contains a thin layer of cartilage that maintains its shape and provides good elasticity, preventing damage upon impact. Without cartilage, the auricle would just be two layers of soft skin hanging on either side of the head, serving no purpose. If it were made of thin, hard bone, it would break easily upon impact, and side sleeping would crush the auricle, leaving people's ears incomplete. The outer part of the external auditory canal has fine hairs to prevent dust and sand from entering, while the inner part secretes cerumen to deter insects. If a foreign object enters the external auditory canal, the reflex action triggered is not sneezing or coughing but shaking the head to dislodge the object. This is because the external auditory canal is a blind tube, and it is impossible to expel foreign objects with air. Why doesn't a foreign object in the nasal cavity trigger a head-shaking reflex to expel it? This is because the human nasal cavity is almost located in the center of the head, and shaking the head cannot generate enough centrifugal force. Additionally, human nostrils face downward, making head shaking ineffective for expelling foreign objects. Sound is produced by the mechanical vibration of objects and is usually transmitted through airwaves, known as sound waves. The human ear is essentially a sophisticated mechanical vibration detector. Within the inner ear, there is a series of basilar membranes of varying sizes, each resonating with specific frequencies to generate corresponding nerve impulses. The brain identifies the intensity, pitch, and timbre of sounds based on these neural impulses. It is noteworthy that while the human body has many sensory organs, only the inner ear is situated within the densest and most robust bone, the petrous part of the temporal bone. This is because, among all sensory organs, only the ear's function involves monitoring mechanical vibrations, which necessitates a relatively fixed coordinate. Without this fixed coordinate, the detection of sound would be impossible. If the inner ear were located within soft tissue, it would move with the sound waves, like a water lily floating on water, rendering it unable to detect any sound. However, since the inner ear is encased in solid bone, it cannot directly sense vibrations. Therefore, it is necessary first to convert the air's sound waves into mechanical vibrations before transmitting them to the inner ear. At the bottom of the external auditory canal, there is indeed such a conversion device, the eardrum, tympanic membrane. The eardrum has a relatively large surface area to receive sufficient air pressure, and its paper-thin texture allows it to vibrate freely with incoming sound waves. Additionally, it is quite resilient and capable of driving the transmission apparatus. The long handle of the malleus bone is attached to the inner side of the eardrum, and the tension created by the malleus handle maintains a slight inward curvature of the eardrum. This tension allows the eardrum to accurately convert incoming sound waves into mechanical vibrations, and it ensures that the vibratory characteristics of the eardrum are unaffected by external temperature changes. Once sound waves are converted back into mechanical vibrations, they must be transmitted to the inner ear through a rigid object. Among the various tissues in the human body, the most rigid is the skeleton. However, most bones are too cumbersome and are wrapped in thick, soft tissue, making them completely unsuitable for transmitting audio vibrations. However, within the tympanic cavity between the eardrum and the inner ear, there are three unique, ultraminiature bones. These bones are extremely light, measuring only a few millimeters, and are almost completely exposed to the air in the tympanic cavity. They are connected by ligaments to form an arc-shaped conduction chain, possessing excellent audio vibration characteristics. This chain can accurately transmit the vibrations of the eardrum to the inner ear. This transmission system can amplify weaker vibrations appropriately and buffer overly strong sound waves. All of these features represent a highly sophisticated design that fully meets the requirements of acoustic physics. The ingenuity of the auditory organs does not end here. For the eardrum to vibrate freely with incoming sound waves, both sides of the eardrum must be exposed to air. Thus, the middle ear contains an air-filled tympanic cavity. If this cavity were filled with liquid like other body cavities, the eardrum would be unable to vibrate because liquids cannot be compressed. Moreover, the tympanic cavity not only needs to be filled with air, but must also have an appropriate channel connecting it to the outside world to balance the static air pressure in the cavity with the external atmospheric pressure. Otherwise, the air in the tympanic cavity would gradually be absorbed, causing the eardrum to retract severely or rupture, leading to a loss of function. When external air pressure changes, such as during mountain climbing, diving, airplane ascents and descents, or sudden weather changes, discomfort and hearing impairment can occur. However, the middle ear cannot be directly open to the outside like the external auditory canal or nasal cavity, as this would cause external sound waves to reach both sides of the eardrum simultaneously via the external auditory canal and middle ear canal, canceling out the sound pressure and preventing the eardrum from vibrating, thereby eliminating hearing. Therefore, the method of connecting the middle ear to the outside world becomes a complex problem. But the human body has ingeniously solved this problem with a clever design. The middle ear connects to the nasopharynx through a semi-open channel known as the eustachian tube. Normally, the eustachian tube is closed and only opens temporarily during swallowing, allowing the air pressure in the middle ear to balance intermittently. After swallowing, it closes again. Aside from eating, the human body unconsciously performs a swallowing action at regular intervals, even during sleep. This helps to adjust the air pressure in the middle ear, preventing it from affecting hearing. Moreover, during swallowing, the uvula and soft palate inevitably lift, blocking the oral cavity from the nasal cavity and temporarily isolating the pharynx from the external environment. This way, at the moment the eustachian tube opens, while air can enter the middle ear, external sound waves are blocked from entering, thus ensuring that hearing remains unaffected and can constantly receive external influences and linguistic information. Apart from the pharynx, there is no other part of the body that can so aptly meet the special requirements of the auditory system. The pharynx, being part of the digestive and respiratory tracts, does not belong to the sensory system, yet it works so ingeniously with the auditory organs that one cannot help but acknowledge the human body structure as a product of an exceptionally advanced overall design. The vestibular part of the inner ear is the organ that controls the body's balance. It contains three mutually perpendicular semicircular canals. When the body becomes unbalanced, the semicircular canals generate balance impulses, which, through the balance center in the medulla oblongata, trigger corresponding reflex actions to restore balance and prevent potential harm. This is one of the innate reflexes. Why are there exactly three semicircular canals, and not two or four? And why are they mutually perpendicular? The reason is quite apparent. Because humans live in three-dimensional space, they can move in three mutually perpendicular directions: front and back, left and right, and up and down. Therefore, there must be three mutually perpendicular semicircular canals to fully monitor these movements. Fewer than three would be insufficient, and more than three would be unnecessary. Clearly, all these precise and ingenious structures and functions demonstrate a high level of wisdom and cannot possibly be the result of mere chance. Vision is the most important sense for the human body, providing more information than all other senses combined. Vision involves the perception of images in space, requiring the visual organs to have the most precise, accurate, and distinctly different structures from other sensory organs. Therefore, from the perspective of embryology and neuroanatomy, the main structure of the eye is not an ordinary sensory organ but rather a part of the cerebral cortex. The optic nerve, unlike other cranial and spinal nerves, is essentially an internal structure of the brain, responsible for transmitting the most complex and refined visual information. Functionally, the eyeball resembles a precise camera. The retina, composed of photoreceptor cells, is akin to the film. The lens, iris, and cornea correspond to the lens, aperture, and filter, respectively. However, the eye's precision and automatic adjustment capabilities surpass those of any advanced camera. For example, camera lenses today are made of special glass or hard plastic with fixed focal lengths. To photograph objects at different distances, the lens position must be adjusted, which is a cumbersome method. Imagine if human eyes had to adjust similarly. Our eyes would have to bulge or retract when viewing objects at different distances, which would not only be aesthetically unappealing but also detrimental to eye health and function. However, the human eye's lens is a transparent, elastic, gel-like body that can automatically adjust its focal length based on the distance of objects, ensuring that all images are accurately focused on the retina without changing the lens's position. This automatic adjustment capability is something no camera can achieve. From the perspective of modern television technology, the eye resembles a television camera, but it is much more precise. Television images are composed of densely packed pixels, dots of varying brightness, and even the best television screens only have hundreds of thousands of pixels. In contrast, the human eye has about 20 billion pixels. This incredible resolution allows the human eye to perceive even the finest details. However, no matter how precise and clear, the image itself remains a flat representation. The visual images from each eye do not inherently provide a sense of depth. The key to complete vision lies in converting this flat image into a three-dimensional perception and creating a sense of space. Achieving this transformation, however, is not a simple task. For a long time, people were puzzled by this phenomenon, but it was later understood that the human body exhibits extraordinary wisdom and technique in this regard. The process involves simultaneously sending the flat images captured by both eyes to a central nervous system for comparative analysis. This analysis uses the slight difference in viewing angles between the two eyes, due to their different positions, to determine the distance of objects, creating a sense of depth and forming a three-dimensional image. This is why humans need two eyes to have complete vision. This understanding led to the creation of 3D movies. However, this description only covers the external process of vision formation, and much remains unknown about the internal workings of the visual center. We must acknowledge that the complexities of the human body's structure and functions are far beyond human wisdom. Using the parallax between the two eyes to judge distance is essentially a precise and automatic form of triangulation. To perform accurate measurement, two prerequisites are necessary. 1. Both eyes must simultaneously focus on the same target. Otherwise, double vision will occur, where one object is seen as two. To prevent this, the eyes are equipped with a highly developed neuromuscular system, making them the most agile and precise organs in terms of movement. The ciliary muscles within the eyes can adjust the lens's refractive index as needed to focus on the target, creating the sharpest image. 2. The retinas of both eyes must correspond precisely to each other. Otherwise, the images from the two eyes cannot be compared. Additionally, these corresponding images must be transmitted simultaneously to the same visual center for comparative analysis. The brain's visual centers are located on the left and right sides, each responsible for processing the respective halves of the visual field. Objects in the left side of the visual field are projected through the pupils onto the right sides of the retinas in both eyes. These corresponding images are then transmitted simultaneously via the optic nerves to the right visual center of the brain. Conversely, objects in the right side of the visual field are reflected onto the left sides of the retinas, and these corresponding images are also transmitted simultaneously via the optic nerves to the left visual center of the brain. The visual centers compare the corresponding images from both eyes simultaneously, thus creating a three-dimensional effect of the entire visual field. In the human body, the lateral organs on each side correspond to each other, such as the symmetry of the feet. However, the retinas correspond in a homolateral manner, left with left and right with right. This is because light is directed straight, and if the retinas did not correspond in this way, the visual centers would not receive matching images and thus could not produce coordinated vision. Moreover, the structural correspondence between the retinas of the two eyes must be extremely precise, with no margin for error. Otherwise, the corresponding images from the two eyes will not align properly, resulting in blurred vision. Furthermore, to ensure that the corresponding images from both eyes are transmitted to a single visual center, the optic nerves must have a special structure to achieve the crossing of images, known as the optic chiasm. This is unique to the optic nerves, as no other cranial or spinal nerves handle images and spatial information. If we were to simulate the human visual process using computers and cameras, the computer's input network would also require a similar type of crossing. No other design would suffice. In summary, it is evident that all the structures and functions of the human body's organs demonstrate an extraordinarily sophisticated pattern of intelligence, each with its necessary and well-reasoned design. Some people believe that there are organs in the human body that seem to be useless, such as the thymus, appendix, tonsils, and coccyx, suggesting that the body's structure may not be entirely rational. It was once thought that these organs had little purpose and were more likely to cause diseases like appendicitis and tonsillitis. Removing these organs appeared to have little impact on the body. In the past, even the spleen and other organs were included in this category. Historically, the list of so-called useless organs was once shockingly long, with more than 100 items. However, this lengthy list was not due to the organs being useless, but rather due to a lack of knowledge. As understanding of the human body has advanced, most of these organs have been removed from the list, leaving very few remaining. Some people believe that these organs are evolutionary remnants, referred to as vestigial organs, and use this as evidence for evolution. However, this is clearly a misunderstanding. It is now understood that there are no truly vestigial organs. Rather, the lack of understanding about these organs was the issue. For example, the thymus was once thought to have an unknown function, but it is now recognized as a crucial early warning system for combating internal and external infections. It is sensitive to infections and can activate the body's defense mechanisms to prevent more severe infections, making it essential for maintaining health. Similarly, if the coccyx were fractured, it would cause significant functional impairment, indicating that the coccyx does have a function and is not superfluous. As for causing diseases, any organ in the body can become diseased, including the heart and brain, and this does not mean that the heart and brain are harmful or useless. While some organs may not have as direct or significant an impact on the body as the heart and brain, their removal does not mean they lack function. Just as losing hands or feet does not immediately threaten life but undoubtedly results in a loss, so too is the removal of other organs a form of bodily impairment. After understanding the extraordinary intelligence reflected in the structure and function of the human body, people naturally ask where this high level of intelligence comes from. Who designed and created these complex, precise, and remarkably unique organs? This question is unavoidable. Any objective person would acknowledge that such intricately designed organ structures could not have emerged by chance, as they could not possibly be the result of random coincidence. If someone gave you a high-end automatic camera and claimed that it had no designer or manufacturer, but was a natural product, would you accept this claim as scientific? Yet, the organs of the human body are even more ingenious, precise, and adaptable than any man-made object. This leads one to recognize that there must be a creator with exceptional intelligence and ability behind the human body. One Sunday morning in the spring of 1954, when I arrived at the church, I saw a young man sitting alone there, whom I did not recognize. After talking to him, I learned that he was a student from Peking Union Medical College. He said, "Since studying human anatomy and physiology, I find the human body so marvelous that it is impossible to explain without a deity." He had come to the church seeking the correct answer. This young man's experience is not an isolated case. I remember that when we were studying anatomy and physiology at school, some classmates continually asked a physiology teacher questions, seeking answers. Eventually, the teacher, overwhelmed, said, "Don't ask any more questions. If you do, you will end up turning to religion." In the social context of that time, this warning had a significant deterrent effect, and the students fell silent. This incident left a deep impression on me, and I have not forgotten it to this day. My thought at that time was that recognizing the marvelous and creative work of the greatest creator in the created world is quite natural. The teacher's comment was indeed to the point. Although this teacher was not a Christian, he had to admit a fact: that if one continues to seriously explore the mysteries of the human body, a part of the mysteries of the universe, one would ultimately arrive at the conclusion of the existence of a deity, turning to religion. Otherwise, it simply cannot be explained. As the Bible says, "For since the creation of the world, the greatest creator's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." Romans 1 verse 20. Was the teacher demonstrating true scientific spirit? No. The scientific spirit should be about seeking truth and confronting it boldly, without avoiding any contradictions. Although this teacher knew that further inquiry would lead to acknowledging the greatest creator, he was unwilling to continue on the path of truth and instead discouraged his students at a crucial moment. This incident illustrates that many people refuse to acknowledge the existence of the greatest creator not because of scientific reasons, but due to various other considerations, such as social pressures, personal interests, and concerns about future implications, as was evident in the teacher's behavior. However, the existence of the greatest creator is not altered by such considerations, and one cannot live forever under such practical considerations. Eventually, everyone will have to face the final choice and confront the supreme ruler who created the universe and humanity. The Bible says, "It is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment." Hebrews 9 verse 27. If people do not accept this eternal, the greatest creator now, it will be inescapable in the end. When we discuss the origin of the universe and all things, some young people often ask, "You say that humans are created by the greatest creator, but who created the greatest creator?" Such questions, seemingly reasonable at first glance, are actually flawed. This is because the greatest creator is the creator, not a created being. You cannot equate the creator with the created. A table is made by a carpenter, but you cannot then claim that the carpenter and the table must have the same origin. Our understanding of the greatest creator can only be based on the revelation that the greatest creator gives to humanity. Otherwise, humans would be unable to comprehend the mysteries of the greatest creator's nature. God says he is the self-existent, eternal, and ever-present God. Exodus 3 verse 14. Revelation 1 verse 8. For the greatest creator, there is only eternity, with no concept of time or beginning and end. Even in the field of science, excessive analogical questioning is not allowed. A scholar was discussing belief in the greatest creator with some students. One student arrogantly asked, "Where does the universe come from?" The scholar replied, "The universe was created by the greatest creator." The student then asked, "Who created the greatest creator?" The scholar answered, "The greatest creator is self-existent and eternal. He is not a created being." The student responded, "That seems rather unscientific." The scholar countered, "Where did the earth come from?" The student answered, "From the sun." The scholar then asked, "Where did the sun come from?" The student replied, "From a nebula." The scholar asked again, "Where did the nebula come from?" The student hesitated and reluctantly said, "The nebula came from nature." The scholar pressed on, Where did nature come from? The student could not continue and angrily responded, Nature is just nature. It exists by itself. The scholar laughed and said, Isn't that also rather unscientific? It can be seen that even the so-called scientific answers are not very insightful. For instance, science tells us that matter is composed of molecules. So, what are molecules made of? Molecules are made up of atoms. And what are atoms made of? Atoms are made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. But what are these particles made of? Currently, it is difficult to provide a definitive answer. Atomic physicists are working to explore so-called elementary particles. The term elementary implies that scientists do not expect matter to be infinitely divisible and believe that one day we will find the ultimate component, the elementary particle. Of course, scientists do not intend to answer what these elementary particles themselves are made of. This represents the limit, and everything stops there. Materialists claim that the universe is infinite, matter is eternal, and it is infinitely divisible, etc. But these are merely arbitrary philosophical assertions with no scientific basis. Moreover, materialist logic also has an ultimate, which is matter itself. They say matter is self-existent and eternal, but they cannot answer where matter came from. From a mathematical perspective, all numbers originate from 1, because 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 3, and so on, extending to infinity. You cannot ask where 1 comes from, because 1 is just 1 and does not come from other numbers. In other words, 1 is the origin of all numbers. Similarly, if the greatest creator created everything, then the greatest creator is the origin of all existence. Asking where this origin comes from is evidently meaningless. 上帝在意志体现自然规律肯法则中. The will of the greatest creator is reflected in the laws and rules of nature. Xiefeng, May 192015. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. Tao is the integration of all the rules and laws of the universe and is the consciousness of the greatest creator. Therefore, the will of the greatest creator is reflected in the laws and rules of nature. If our thoughts, words, and deeds comply with the laws and rules of nature, then we will be rewarded by the greatest creator. But if they are against them, then we will be punished. Ultimate Tao cannot be reached by active pursuit. There is no way to get rewards from the greatest creator by wishing for them, no matter who you are, how pious you are, nor how much you emotionally love the greatest creator. When you go against the laws and rules of nature, you will be punished. For instance, regardless how many joss sticks we burn or how many times we kowtow in a temple, if we drink poison, we will surely die. This is the only way that things work. Merits and mistakes do not offset each other. A merit is a merit and mistake is a mistake. We will be rewarded for our merits and punished for our mistakes. No matter what great merits we have, as long as we make mistakes, even slight ones, we will be punished for them. That is to say, even if we perform 10,000 good deeds, we will still be punished for doing one bad thing. The greatest creator will not ignore a single bad thing no matter how many good things we do. So, we all suffer from illness and mishaps, be it the Pope, the hierarch, the master, the emperor, the devout disciple, or the lay person. Even a messenger of the greatest creator would not be given special grace by which to escape from the due punishment. Just do not assume that you will be saved from the consequences of your mistakes by following the greatest creator and taking his way. Therefore, the most difficult thing is to ascend to a higher space of life by self-refinery and self-improvement because it is rigorous, meticulous, precise, and non-emotional. For instance, if the standard for a mortal to ascend to immortality is 100 points, then 99 points would never be enough. It is just like the 81 hardships experienced by Monk Tang. Not one single hardship could be missed in order for him to succeed. Therefore, we must remember that when we encounter sorrows, setbacks, and failures, they are hardships that we must traverse. This is karma. The sin we sow can only be dispelled by reaping a painful consequence. There is no alternative. Of course, we should never doubt the justice and mercy of the greatest creator. Absolutely beautiful things can only be enjoyed by the absolute life. Absolutely beautiful things are boundless and endless, and when we want to enjoy these unending and boundlessly beautiful things, we should focus on examining our lives and ask ourselves, is mine an absolutely beautiful life? If not, we should focus our self-refinery and self-improvement on improving our quality of life, rather than on absolutely beautiful things. When our quality of life reaches the absolutely beautiful realm, then absolutely beautiful things will come to us. Let us bear all the miseries, frustration, and suffering with delight and march firmly toward the perfection and beautification of life. Merits and mistakes cannot be offset. The will of the greatest Creator is reflected by the laws and rules of nature. Let us strictly follow these rules and laws of nature and trek and climb, step by step, to the highest realm of life. 上帝在哪里？如何敬畏上帝? Where is and how do we revere the greatest Creator? Xiefeng, August 12011. Translated by Transin and edited by Care. The greatest Creator is the most mysterious, most holy, most incredible, and most supreme supernatural entity in existence. But where is the greatest Creator? The universe is big beyond our imagination. Our Earth universe alone contains 3,000 great worlds, each of which contains 3,000 medium worlds. Each of those contain 3,000 small worlds, and this Earth universe is just a speck of dust in a much greater universe. This universe has 20 parallel worlds within 36-dimensional space. Where does the greatest Creator reside in such a vast universe? The matter of the greatest Creator is in the zero world of the 36-dimensional space. And the zero world is the node, the 0 point that consists of the 20 parallel worlds, namely the 0 point of the geometric XYZ number axis. This 0 point connects with the 20 parallel worlds and is the command center of the universe as our brains and central nervous systems are to our bodies. Everything in the universe is a manifestation of the consciousness of the greatest Creator, which is Tao. It is like everything created on the earth is a manifestation of human consciousness except for the natural material. The constitutional law is the embodiment of the collective consciousness of all people. It can be said that human consciousness is the constitutional law. Tao is the spirit of the greatest Creator, and all things run in Tao and are ultimately dominated by it. Therefore, all things are of the spirit of the greatest Creator. That is, all things have spirit. Thus, we conclude that the matter of the greatest Creator is in the zero world, but the spirit of the greatest Creator is in all things, just as Chinese President Hu Jintao's body is in Zhongnanhai in Beijing, but his reach extends throughout China. Since the matter of the greatest Creator is in the zero world, then we can never see the true face of the greatest Creator, because we can never reach the zero world. Since we can never see the true face of the greatest Creator, then how can we feel the presence of and know the will of the greatest Creator? We can know and understand it by the things we hear, see, taste, smell, touch, feel, and experience around us. Since the spirit of the greatest Creator is in all things throughout the universe, then all things contain the will of the greatest Creator. We can know and experience the greatest Creator and learn the will of the greatest Creator through all things in the universe. This means that all things are the discourse of the greatest Creator, and all the changes we sense are the monologue of the greatest Creator within us. From things changing, we can know what the greatest Creator wants us to do and how we must do it. For instance, a healthy person with a headache is not a normal situation. They are either overstressed by thinking, have high blood pressure or fever, or something similar. The headache would clearly indicate a need to change their daily diet and lifestyle, or a normal physiological order would not be maintained. Another example is that when phenomena such as droughts, floods, plagues, earthquakes, and extreme temperatures become frequent occurrences, something is clearly wrong with our production and lifestyle. The greatest Creator clearly informs us that we need to change our lifestyle or face even greater disasters and catastrophes. It is as if a country or region experiences frequent riots and hunger. That would indicate a problem with the management of the area and that the management mode needs to be changed, or it will lead to vicious cycles until the regime is overthrown. It is the same with a family. Frequent quarrels would show that something is wrong with the survival order of the family, and it is time to dissolve it. Were this phenomenon to occur in most families around the globe, Something would be wrong with the survival mode and lifestyle of the family system, and it would need to be broken up, or people's pains and troubles would never end and would lead to self-destruction. The greatest creator is everywhere. I see the greatest creator everywhere and all the time, from the changing weather, the blooming flowers, the mature fruits, the moving of bees' nests, the bellies of pregnant women, the wedding nights, the gurgling water, and the texture of shells from my own eyes, witnessing the transformations through time. As long as we open our spiritual perception, we can see the greatest creator everywhere and at any time. This leads to an appalling question: how can we revere the greatest creator? Reverence of the greatest creator is not a concept that can be taken as a pet phrase. We need to revere the greatest creator in our daily words and deeds in a concrete manner. Revering all things is to revere the greatest creator. When I am faced with a stem of grass, an insect, a thing, or a person, I can see the greatest creator looking right back at me through it, or him or her. If I react correctly, I will go to heaven, but if I react incorrectly, I will go to hell. From this, I find a law. If a person shows their sincere, kind, beautiful, loving, faithful, and honest consciousness to all things, they will develop to betterment and go to heaven. If not, they will have ugliness and go to hell. Readers can decide whether my conclusion above is true or not, but I do not believe that you will come up with any other conclusion. 走上帝之道者都有一个美好未来. All those who follow the way of the greatest creator will have a wonderful future. Xiefeng, February 12, 2011. Translation edited by Qin Yu. As a messenger of the greatest creator, I can assure you that all those who follow the way of the greatest creator will have a wonderful future and will enjoy the infinite pleasures of life in the kingdom of the greatest creator. This kingdom includes the enduring Life-Echanuan era, the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, and its celestial island continent. This is an unchangeable law. The combination of sperm and eggs gives rise to the carrier of life. The combination of seeds with suitable soil will make the seeds germinate, grow, flower, and bear fruits. The south and north poles of a magnet attract each other. The simultaneous intake of vitamin C and shrimp can cause arsenic to form in the body, leading to fatal bleeding. Distance covered is the product of velocity and time. An object can escape the Earth's gravitational pull if it reaches a speed of 11.2 kilometers per second, and it can leave the solar system if it reaches a speed of 16.7 kilometers per second. Still water without the infusion of running water will stink from putrefaction and eventually dry up. The reaction between copper oxide and dilute sulfuric acid will result in copper sulfate and water. In Euclidean geometry, the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. On Earth, one will return to the starting point if they keep going forward by following a certain longitude or latitude. Water will turn into ice at 0 degrees Celsius. These and many other laws all are inevitable. We will reach any place that our footsteps guide us to. If we break laws, we may end up in prison. In autumn, we will harvest what we have sowed in the fertile soil in spring. According to the principle of gravity and attraction, kind actions and kind thoughts will beget good results, while evil actions and evil thoughts will incur evil consequences. If you chase the sun, you can escape from darkness. If you chase darkness, you can hardly see light. He who stays near vermilion gets stained red, and he who stays near ink gets stained black. Persisting in evil brings about self-destruction. One will get intoxicated if he drinks too much, and will have a bulging stomach if he eats too much. People near mountains can distinguish between bird calls. People near waters know about the habits of fish. Worship Buddha, and you will acquire the Buddhahood. Seek the way of celestial being, and you will attain the spiritual state of a celestial being. The buildup of quantitative changes will result in qualitative changes once the critical point is surpassed. Everything that lives must die, and everything that dies must live. Each flower is a Bodhi, and each grain of sand reflects a world. The universe is holographic. The two poles are interconnected, and the extremes of things must be opposed. Gazing for long impairs blood, lying for long impairs qi, sitting for long impairs muscles, standing for long impairs bone, and walking for long impairs tendons. A benevolent person speaks kindly, sees kindness, and acts kindly. If a person performs 3 deeds of kindness every day, he will be granted blessings by heaven in 3 years. A ferocious and evil person speaks wickedly, sees wickedness, and acts wickedly. If a person performs 3 deeds of unkindness every day, he will be dealt disaster by heaven in 3 years. All these and many others all are inevitable. Those who walk the way of the greatest Creator are destined for a beautiful future, as it is an immutable law and principle. The greatest Creator is the supreme being in the universe, the ultimate authority. Those who abide by the will of the greatest Creator and live and act according to His wishes will inevitably receive His blessings and grace. If a son asks for bread, the Father will not give him a stone. If we obey the greatest Creator, He will surely reward us with special blessings. The greatest Creator is eternal, and if we walk in His way, we too will become eternal. The greatest Creator is the fountain of wisdom and the origin of life. If we walk the way of the greatest Creator, we can gain wisdom and new life. The greatest Creator is love and truth, and if we walk His way, we can attain love and truth. In the universe, there are 36 dimensional spaces, 20 parallel worlds, heaven and hell. If we obey the greatest Creator and follow His way, He will surely place us in the most beautiful world in space. The greatest Creator will never give good things to rebels and bad things to obedient ones. If so, where can we find justice and laws in the world? As a result, there would be no necessary connection between cause and effect, and everything would be in chaos. In fact, everything is orderly. Therefore, if we revere, obey, believe in, and follow the way of the greatest Creator, we will surely have a beautiful future. The words of the Tathagatas are truthful and correspond to reality. They are ultimate words, neither deceitful nor heterodox. Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, and the celestial being Lao Tzu are all Tathagatas. They will not deceive us, and they have no need to deceive us. Their teachings and instructions, in a nutshell, tell us to follow the way of the greatest Creator. If we follow the way of the greatest Creator, we can enter the kingdom of the greatest Creator, the Elysium world, and we can become celestial beings. According to Life-Genuine values, the future of those who follow the way of the greatest Creator lies in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, and its celestial islands continent. Everything is inevitable. What you believe in, you can achieve. The way you take will yield corresponding results. The brightest, easiest, most direct, and most beneficial way in the world is the way of the greatest Creator. The most nutritious drink in the world is mother's milk, and the best way to secure the most beautiful future is the way of the greatest Creator. 走上帝之道者的人生顺利美好. Those who walk the way of the greatest Creator will have a smooth and wonderful life. Xiefeng, February 13, 2011. Translation edited by Qin Yu. There is a kind of life that is worry-free, full of love, healthy, and smooth sailing. There is a kind of life that is constantly troubled, full of pain, lacking love, and full of obstacles. There is a kind of life that is sometimes bright, sometimes dark, fluctuating, half happy and half worried, and often encountering ups and downs. Why is this? Is it a destiny set by heaven? Is it a problem of the times? Is it a social problem? Is it a problem with friends and relatives? Is it a problem with nature? Or is there another reason? My understanding is that the quality of life depends on the path we choose to walk. Even when it comes to acquiring life resources, some people rely entirely on their own hard work to acquire them. Some acquire them through parasitic means without labor. Some acquire them through extortion and exploitation. Some acquire them through corruption and theft. And some acquire them through deception and fame stealing. Different ways of acquiring lead to different life experiences, different realms of feeling and experience, different outcomes, and therefore different lives. There are countless paths in life, but which one is the best? My view is that the best path in life is the way of the greatest Creator. To make life smooth and beautiful, walk the way of the greatest Creator. Or to put it another way, walking the way of the greatest Creator is the most reliable guarantee for a smooth and beautiful life, and no other way can bring as much happiness. Is this really the case? We can observe, experience, practice, and verify. My conclusion is that if a person's life is smooth, beautiful, and trouble-free, it can be affirmed that he has always been walking the way of the greatest creator. If his life is half happy and half worried, with great ups and downs, it proves that he sometimes walks the way of the greatest creator and sometimes walks other ways. If a person's life is constantly troubled and full of obstacles, it can be affirmed that he has always been deviating from the way of the greatest creator and has never walked on it. Is there any theory to prove my above conclusion? I try to prove it with several connotations of the way of the greatest creator. You can see if it makes sense. One important connotation of the way of the greatest creator is to comply with nature, absolutely no coercion. If a person takes things as they are, follows predestined relations, acts in accordance with nature, and takes advantage of opportunities as they arise, does not force, does not coerce himself or others, lets what comes come, and lets what goes go, does not over-pursue, does not give up effort, eats peaches when he encounters peaches, eats apricots when he encounters apricots, does not have high ambitions, does not feel inferior, is not arrogant and indulgent, and is not habitually lazy, then his life will basically be smooth sailing, without great ups and downs, and without disappointment and heartbreak. Another connotation of the way of the greatest creator is non-action, non-contention, selflessness. A person who can stay in a five-star hotel without arrogance and can live in a thatched house with peace of mind without self-destruction, who is grateful for eating gourmet food and is not tired of eating plain food, who does not contend or compete with others, does not reject what should come, does not cling to what should go, does not deliberately seek, plan, or take, likes what others do not like, enjoys what others do not enjoy, is not greedy, only takes a sip from thousands of rivers, does not excessively possess or own, does not excessively seek fame and fortune, is content with poverty and enjoys the Tao, often puts the interests of others and the public first and puts his own interests second, then he will not encounter obstacles and adversity. The third connotation of the way of the greatest creator is love. A person who only gives and does not ask for, only thinks about bringing happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss to others, does not set barriers and shackles for others, does not suppress and control others, does not snatch what others like, does not restrict others' freedom, does not bully, oppress, deceive others, does not argue with others, does not abuse and slaughter life, cherishes all life, respects all life, does not block others' way, and is willing to sacrifice himself to help others accomplish their goals, then he will not make enemies, will not be hated, and life will certainly be smooth and unimpeded. The fourth connotation of the way of the greatest creator is faith. Jesus Christ is the Son of the greatest creator, the messenger of the greatest creator. He conveys to us the information and will of the greatest creator. Jesus teaches us to seek the kingdom of the greatest creator, walk the way of the greatest creator, and all we need will be provided by the greatest creator. We do not need to worry about tomorrow, about the future, about our own food, clothing, housing, transportation, birth, aging, illness, and death. All these are arranged by the greatest creator. As long as we have this faith, the road of life will be smooth, safe, and unimpeded. The way of the greatest creator has 8 major connotations. Just the above 4 major connotations, faith, love, selflessness, non-contention, non-action, compliance with nature, and absolutely no coercion, are enough to ensure that our life is smooth and beautiful. If our life lacks faith and love, if we intervene, contend, and are selfish, if we do not comply with nature but force things, then life is bound to be troubled, painful, full of worries and fears, and full of obstacles. What do you readers think? Does what I say make sense? If it makes sense, adjust your thinking and consciousness immediately and firmly walk the way of the greatest creator. 上帝王国介绍 An Introduction to the Kingdom of the Greatest Creator. Dayform Buddha. December 14th, 2022. Translated by Chinyu and edited by Peter. Christ Jesus told us, "So do not worry, saying, 'What shall we eat?' Or 'What shall we drink?' Or 'What shall we wear?' For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6 verses 31 to 33. More than 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ told the world, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Matthew 4 verse 17. Today, Dayform Buddha has told the world, "The kingdom of the greatest creator has appeared on the earth. You should leave everything behind. Find the kingdom of the greatest creator and become a citizen of the kingdom of the greatest creator first." Where is the kingdom of the greatest creator? The kingdom of the greatest creator is in the land of freedom, where everyone enjoys the 8 rights of freedom: the rights of survival, creation, migration, speech, the individual, thought, learning, and refusal. The place where the greatest creator's will is unimpeded is the kingdom of the greatest creator. The supreme authority of the kingdom of the greatest creator is the greatest creator. The highest constitution is the way of the greatest creator, the Tao, and the highest law is the 800 values for human beings. In the kingdom of the greatest creator, there are no churches, Buddhist temples, or Taoist temples. The sun, moon, and stars are the churches. The mountains and rivers are the Buddhist temples, and wind, clouds, rain, and snow are the Taoist temples. In the kingdom of the greatest creator, there are no countries, religions, or political parties. The earth is a home for all people. Nature is the religion, and free associations and gatherings are the political parties. In the kingdom of the greatest creator, there is no marriage, family, or relatives. To be kind to each other and love each other freely is marriage. People who are kind to and love each other are family. All the citizens in the kingdom of the greatest creator are relatives. In the kingdom of the greatest creator, there is no one who gets something for nothing, no officials, and every citizen is a creator of wealth, either material wealth, spiritual wealth, or soul wealth, or some combination of all three. In the kingdom of the greatest creator, all power belongs to the greatest creator. Everyone only enjoys the pleasures of life and cannot enjoy the welfare brought by power, and no one has the right to dominate others. In the kingdom of the greatest creator, all resources belong to the greatest creator and not to any individual. Every citizen has nothing but can enjoy everything. The kingdom of the greatest creator has been born on earth, and the old system is running out of time. Those who pursue spirituality should be vigilant and seize the time to seek the kingdom of the greatest creator. Everything you have on earth will disappear, and the pursuit of possessions is the pursuit of dreams and bubbles. The words of more than 2,000 years ago will become reality. Enter the kingdom of the greatest creator, and you will survive. Stay outside the kingdom of the greatest creator, and you will vanish. Seek the greatest creator's kingdom now. If you seek it, you will find it. Keep knocking on the door of the kingdom of the greatest creator. As long as you keep knocking, the door will open for you. 人类不是上帝亲自所造. Humans are not created by the greatest creator himself. Xiefeng, June 13th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. The greatest creator has 8 major features, one of which is uniqueness. This means that the greatest creator is unique, and there is only one greatest creator in the universe. Another feature of the greatest creator is amorphousness. The greatest creator does not have a fixed form. He can take on any image or even be formless. Why do we say that humans were not created by the greatest creator himself? There are 2 pieces of evidence. One is factual, and the other is logical reasoning. The fact is the book of Genesis in the Bible. Genesis 1 verse 26 states, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness.'" This passage clearly tells us that humans are created in the image and likeness of us. So, who are we? We definitely cannot be the greatest creator because there is only one greatest creator, and it is impossible to have many. We are not a singular entity, but rather a plural one. When the greatest creator says, "we," it represents and includes himself. This indicates that the greatest creator is not unique, but rather numerous, which contradicts the fact. The fact described in the Bible tells us that humans are not created by the greatest creator, but by us. If we claim that the greatest creator participated in creating humans, then without a doubt, the greatest creator mentioned in the Bible is not that unique greatest creator. In other words, humans have mistakenly equated the greatest creator with gods. In the Bible, it is referred to as God, In the Chinese translation of God is deity, rather than the greatest creator. In English, the letter G in God is written in uppercase G to differentiate between gods and the greatest creator. The lowercase God refers to gods, while the uppercase God refers to the greatest creator. This is a human-made distinction and difference that cannot be discerned in the pronunciation. If we firmly believe that what is described in the Bible is a fact, then we have to acknowledge that humans are created by gods, not by that unique God, while this unique God is the greatest creator. Therefore, we have to reconsider and rename that unique God. Instead of calling him God or the God, we should call him the greatest creator. In Chinese, we can still refer to him as Sangdi, Shangdi, but this Shangdi is not the God described in the Bible. The conclusion is that the Bible tells us that humans are created by gods, not directly by the greatest creator. Humans have mistaken gods for the greatest creator. Why is it like this? Let's engage in logical reasoning. Where does the meaning of life lie? If everything is created by the greatest creator and all living beings are born to enjoy, then does the universe still have meaning? All lives await the greatest creator to provide them with food, clothing, shelter, and to take responsibility for their birth, aging, illness, and death. In that case, does the existence of life itself still hold any joy? The greatest creator is responsible for all affairs while all lives are only responsible for enjoyment. Does the greatest creator experience joy? Imagine if you were born with everything provided by your father, and your entire life was spent being fed, bathed, clothed, carried on his back during travel, and having your father take care of everything and fulfill your wife's needs. Do you think there would be any joy or meaning in your life? Let's speculate and imagine the process of the greatest creator's creation of life after his birth. The greatest creator created gods and angels, deriving pleasure from creation. In order for gods and angels to also derive pleasure from creation, they were entrusted with the task of creating other forms of life. Thus, gods created humans in their own image and likeness, and angels created other forms of life such as animals, plants, microorganisms, etc. To enable humans to also derive pleasure from creation, resources for creation were provided, allowing humans to utilize these resources to create everything they need for their own lives. As a result, people spend their entire lives busily creating, building houses, cars, wealth, inventing machines, tools, food, and so on. In this way, the entire universe becomes filled with vitality, joy, and meaning. Now, let's consider whether the speculation and imagination I presented earlier align with the laws and facts of the universe. Actually, this is not mere speculation and imagination. It is the process of the birth of the universe and life itself. This process tells us that all gods were created by the greatest creator, all humans were created by the gods, and all other species were created by angels or celestial beings. Houses, cars, machines, tools, and everyday objects are all creations of humans. Based on the facts and logical reasoning described in the Bible, we can conclude that humans were not created directly by the greatest creator. What value does this information hold? It means that humans should no longer attribute all the negative or even evil things in the world to the greatest creator's creation. The cruel laws of the animal kingdom are not the creations of the greatest creator. Creation is the source of all happiness. If you want to experience joy and find meaning and value in life, then go forth and create. 上帝是第一生产力. The greatest creator is the primary productive force. Xiefeng, April 26, 2012. Translated by Qin Yu. Edited by Peter. There is a misunderstanding in human thinking that to achieve the most ideal society, such as communism, firstly the productive forces must be highly developed, and then the products must be greatly enriched. Therefore, it is believed that only by accelerating economic construction and vigorously developing productive forces can communism be realized. As for the standard of highly developed productivity, some people define it as the production of material by machines or some higher-level technical means completely replacing people is a sign of the level of productivity in a communist society. In order to achieve this level of productivity, someone has proposed science and technology are the primary productive forces. These understandings are of course wrong. The realization of the most ideal society of mankind, such as communism, may have something to do with the development or underdevelopment of productive forces, but it doesn't matter much. It may have something to do with whether the product is extremely valuable, but it doesn't matter much either. Facts speak louder than words. In the complete realization and continuous development of a communist society, the second home of Life Genuine doesn't at all lie in the level of productivity and development in the traditional sense, but it fundamentally depends on the state of mind of each member, and this state of mind depends on whether one is walking on the way of the greatest creator, and whether one recognizes that the greatest creator is the primary productive force. In the second home, there are only simple hand tools, and the average cultural level of the people is at the junior high school level. The products, far from being abundantly diverse, are rather plain. Apart from basic vegetables, eggs, flour, rice, and cooking oil, and some daily necessities available in the market, there are no other items. However, everyone lives together happily, joyfully, freely, and blessedly, and their behavior is highly civilized and courteous. Why is that? This is because we realize that the greatest creator is the primary productive force and the source of happiness. As long as we follow the way of the greatest creator and hold his hand tightly, we will have everything, and our happiness will be boundless. Just think about it. What makes the fruit tree bear fruit? What makes vegetables and wheat grow and bear fruit? What makes the rain spread all over the earth to nourish all things? What makes a hen lay an egg and hatch a chick? What power makes a fertilized egg grow into a healthy chicken? What makes sheep grow wool for our utilization? What makes cows produce milk for drinking to our heart's content? What makes the spring water sparkling, the clear river flowing, to irrigate the fertile land? All this is from the greatest creator. The greatest creator is the primary productive force. No matter how we irrigate fertile fields, by digging wells, diverting ditches, drawing river water, or carrying water with buckets, it will never be as good as the rain falling from the sky. A drizzle waters the mountains and the earth and moisturizes the growth of all things. How easy it is, how satisfied we are. Haven't you realized that the greatest creator is the primary productive force? On the macro level, we must rely on the greatest creator. As long as we seek the kingdom of the greatest creator and walk on the way of the greatest creator, then we don't have to worry about life being insecure, not being able to live a good life, or not having a good future. Let us trust the greatest creator. Let us praise and eulogize the greatest creator with all our hearts, minds, and strength. Let us melt into the way of the greatest creator. Let us be with the greatest creator. A better life and a better future will then belong to us. 上天讲成的标准和方式 Standards and Methods of Heaven's Rewards and Punishments. Xiefeng, January 28, 2022. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Standards for Rewards and Punishments. Life that creates is rewarded. Life that destroys is punished. Life that protects other lives is rewarded. Life that harms other lives is punished. Life that brings joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss to others is rewarded. Life that brings trouble, pain, sorrow, and fear to others is punished. Life that lives in joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss is rewarded. Life that lives in trouble, pain, sorrow, and fear is punished. Life that is grateful and content is rewarded. Life that is hateful and greedy is punished. Life that contributes much but enjoys little is rewarded. Life that contributes little but enjoys much is punished. Life that cherishes nature is rewarded. Life that destroys nature is punished. Life that guides others to heaven is rewarded. Life that misleads others to hell is punished. Methods of rewards and punishments. Reward, good health. Punishment, frequent illness. Reward, lifelong peace. Punishment, multiple disasters and difficulties. Reward, living in joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss. Punishment, living in trouble, pain, sorrow, and fear. Reward, regular encounters with helpful mentors. Punishment, regular encounters with harmful influences. Reward, no worries about food and clothing. Punishment, constant poverty and illness. Reward, ascending to higher realms. Punishment, descending to lower realms. Reward, living in a harmonious and naturally beautiful environment. Punishment, living in a harsh and morally degraded environment. Reward, earning respect and honor. Punishment, facing discrimination and contempt. 上天奖惩的机制和时机. The mechanism and timing of heaven's rewards and punishments. Xiefeng, January 29, 2022. Translation edited by Qinyu. Mechanism. The universe, governed by Tao, is holographic. The heavenly net is vast yet meticulous. It follows a set procedure, disregarding emotions and reasoning. It emphasizes justice, not favoring kindness. All are treated equally, regardless of their status. Respect is given to those who respect, and mockery to those who ridicule. The rich are allowed to become richer, and the poor poorer. It strikes when least expected, catching the unprepared off guard. Note: here, rich primarily refers to spiritual and mental wealth, while poor refers to spiritual and mental poverty. Those who are content, debt-free, and able to contribute to others and society are considered rich. Those who are discontented, indebted, and constantly take from others and society are considered poor. Timing of rewards and punishments. For minor offenses, rewards or punishments are immediate. For major offenses, rewards or punishments are given once a threshold is crossed. In specific cases, rewards or punishments are given promptly. In general cases, all factors must be in place before rewards or punishments are administered. Issues related to emotions are addressed through reincarnation. Issues related to love are addressed through ascension or descent. Matters involving debts are addressed through debt collection or repayment. Matters involving life are addressed based on the principle of equivalence. Note: specific cases refers to events with a limited scope, such as a fight between two individuals, while general cases refer to events with broader implications, such as World War II. For an individual, the outcome of rewards or punishments may be evident within a few years or decades, while for society as a whole, it may take several decades or even centuries. The rewards or punishments for all of humanity may take thousands or even tens of thousands of years to manifest. Recommendation: to fully understand the content of this passage, please refer to Standards and Methods of Heaven's Rewards and Punishments. 上天奖惩的途径. Pathways of Heaven's Rewards and Punishments. Xiefeng, January 30th, 2022. Translation edited by Qinyu. Rewards and punishments are administered through interactions with those closest to us. If our parents, children, spouse, or partners bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, it is a reward from the greatest Creator. Conversely, if they bring troubles, pain, worries, and despair, it is a punishment from the greatest Creator. Rewards and punishments are also delivered through interactions with those we frequently associate with. If our relatives, friends, colleagues, schoolmates, neighbors, superiors, subordinates, lovers, and online acquaintances bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, it is a reward from the greatest Creator. Conversely, it is a punishment if they bring the opposite. Food can also be a means of reward or punishment. If we have abundant, nutritious food that nourishes our body and maintains our health, it is a reward from the greatest Creator. Conversely, scarcity, poor quality, and contaminated food that leads to illness are punishments from the greatest Creator. The environment plays a role in rewards or punishments. Living in a peaceful, harmonious, warm, beautiful, and prosperous environment is a reward from the greatest Creator. Conversely, living in an environment of fighting, smashing, robbing, killing, competing for advantages, deceiving, kidnapping, cheating, and stealing is a punishment from the greatest Creator. Social mechanisms determine rewards or punishments. Living in a democratic, dignified, rights-respecting society where one can live and work in peace and contentment is a reward from the greatest Creator. Conversely, living in an autocratic, oppressive, deceitful, undignified, insecure society that constantly keeps people on tenterhooks and instills fear is a punishment from the greatest Creator. Natural disasters can serve as rewards or punishments. Favorable weather conditions are a reward, while incessant natural disasters are a punishment. Special events can result in rewards or punishments. Meeting helpful individuals who guide us on our path and experiencing smooth and safe journeys are rewards from the greatest creator. Conversely, encountering malicious individuals who lead us astray and facing difficulties and obstacles are punishments. Life's ascent or descent can signify rewards or punishments. Going to heaven after death is a reward, while being reborn in the animal world or descending into hell is a punishment. 让我们的灵魂依偎在上帝的怀抱里. Let our souls nestle in the greatest creator's embrace. Xiefeng, February 13th, 2022. Translation edited by Qinyu. Recently, I watched a video about a newborn baby whose mother passed away shortly after his birth. The mother's heart was transplanted into a man. Despite being comforted by many people, the baby continued to cry. However, when the man who received the heart transplant from the baby's mother held him, the baby stopped crying and smiled. Looking at the baby's expression, it felt like he had found the most comfortable, warm, and secure haven. We are all like infants, regardless of where we go or what situations we face. We all need the safest, warmest, and most comfortable haven, and that haven is in the greatest creator's embrace. No matter who we are, how old we are, whether we are rich or poor, whether we have achieved something or not, there will always be times when we feel disappointed and disheartened. There will be times when we are physically weak due to illness, times when we feel hopeless or even desperate, and of course, times when we are filled with worry and fear. What do we rely on to get through these difficult times? We will find that nothing is reliable, neither the government, nor family and friends, nor wealth, nor status, nor fame. The only reliable thing is the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator. When we entrust our lives to the greatest creator, let our souls nestle in the greatest creator's embrace, we can truly feel safe and at ease, feel happy and free, feel warm and peaceful. This is a reflection of my personal experience. Everyone will experience feelings of helplessness, desolation, illness, and fear of death. At such times, the most comforting energy comes from the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator. When our souls nestle in the greatest creator's embrace, all negative and detrimental thoughts and emotions disappear, and we can face all difficulties, misfortunes, and even death with equanimity. Perhaps many people have not experienced this feeling because they have not yet recognized the greatest creator or understood the greatest creator. When you truly understand the principles of life and space-time, understand the mysteries of life's reincarnation and transformation, you will find that all the good things in life, such as happiness, health, joy, freedom, wealth, and bliss, all come from the greatest creator because the greatest creator is the source of everything. Today, I read a view on WeChat that said, "The soul is difficult to live with a reliance. The ultimate enlightenment is to have no reliance. This is the inevitable path for every soul to ascend." From different positions and perspectives, we can draw different conclusions. From my position and perspective, the soul can be independent of any person or thing, but it must rely on the greatest creator. The soul must have something to rely on, and that object of reliance is the greatest creator. I cannot imagine what a soul without reliance would be like. If there were no universe, no heaven, which is the non-material world, and nothing existed, the soul could be without reliance. But would such a soul be like a water source without a source, a tree without roots? Could this soul continue to exist? How could it exist? Of course, there are mountains beyond mountains, and there are heavens beyond the sky. Perhaps there are souls without reliance that can truly exist, but for a soul like mine, I dare not cross the line. I can do whatever I want, but I dare not overstep the rules. Therefore, my soul will always nestle in the greatest creator's embrace,